Today on our show, we are honored to welcome Marion County Fire Rescue Chief Banta, who is a native here in Ocala. You've been here for years and years and years. Fun story that we'll talk about a little bit later is that you were never going to be a fire rescue dude. You were going to be in scuba diving, which is something I embarked in when I was a kid myself. So we'll talk about that. But I will say that you have an incredible way of leading. You lead with passion and integrity, and I hear all great things from the guys at the fire station that they just really trust you and they love your values, and coaching up resilience is probably part of that. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. And then some Christmas tips, how we learned not to put our house up into flames over the holidays or after the holidays or here after the new year, what to do with your Christmas trees maybe. And then life after the drop program, because I know you're not going to work forever, right? Thank you so much for being here, Chief Banta. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to having this conversation.
Good.
Great.
Well, for our newer listeners, we had Chief Banta here on radio probably 6 years ago, and we said we would do this every year, and I failed miserably. Life happened, but I think we'll enjoy. Hopefully, you'll come back every year and talk about what's going on with the fire department and what we need to be careful for when it comes to scams and fire problems in our homes.
Sure.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Great. Well, let's start with one of my favorite questions. You have 5 grandkids.
I do have 5 grandkids, 5 granddaughters, by the way.
I noticed that.
Not one boy in that mix yet.
That's amazing. Well, that's probably because you have 2 girls, 1 boy, so they just outnumbered you.
Yeah. And it's still hard to believe that I'm old enough to be a grandfather, but apparently I am.
Yeah, you don't look it, but hey, listen, I hear having grandchildren is the next best thing to slice bread. Is that true?
It is. It's amazing because you can spoil them, you're not responsible for them, and you can just have a great time with them.
Give them candy and send them back to mom and dad.
That's right.
It's not fair.
That's right.
Very fun. Well, on a side note, some things I've definitely learned about you. I would call you a yes man. And something that I read recently in this really nice, well-published magazine here locally, you would call that something different, wouldn't you? You call it raise your hand. And I loved how you said that. Can you explain that?
Sure. So I get questioned a lot, especially by newer firefighters, like how I became fire chief, how I became successful. In one, training and commitment and all of those types of things. But I feel like one of the things that worked for me was I was always willing to raise my hand. That when asked to do something, just raise your hand and do it. And it's super easy sometimes when and I don't want to say that job is easy, but we get in this job to do extraordinary things. So if there's something extraordinary that comes up, it's very easy to raise your hand. Yeah, I'll go do that. I'll go into that burning building. I'll go do those types of things. It's not so easy when it's, let's say, we need to run an investigation on an incident that happened, and that person happens to be somebody you're close to, and their career or their life, might be on the line, and you have to make difficult decisions. Always willing to raise your hand regardless of what the organization was asking of you. Yeah,
that's what we call the yes man, the yes woman. I'm like that. I'm always like, if somebody asks, I do it. And there's only so much time on my schedule, but yours is a little different than mine, for sure. You guys are saving lives every day. Speaking of saving lives, there's a lot of leadership and integrity and value built into your teams. How do you do that? And because you have so many people there, and what's your secret?
It starts on day one when they come in the door, and I'll tell you, I'm in the fire service now since 1992, and things change, generations change, and changing with that can be challenging. But we're committed to holding a standard within the fire service and building that into them as soon as they walk in the door. With the generational changes, we have to adapt on how you deliver that message, to be honest, and how it becomes successful. But at the end of the day, as soon as they walk in the door, we're setting expectations, we're setting our values, and then we hold them to that. And it builds a very strong, successful culture. And a lot of the people that get into the service, whether it's fire service, police service, military, they already have that internal commitment to service. So we just have to continue to mold it and hone it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys have a strategy, like a blueprint. Like it's a well-oiled machine. That's great to hear.
I would like to think that.
Cool. Well, your guys and gals are running in and out of homes that are on fire. They are seeing really horrible things on the road when it comes to car accidents. How do you build resiliency within that team and keep them, eyes on the prize and committed?
Yeah, so that's a very important question. We've and it's difficult, and I've evolved through that process. We've evolved as an agency, but you said the right word. It's resilience, building resilience, and it's not just resilience within the job. What we really focus on, and we have a great support network. We have a group called Fire Rescue Support through Joe LaCagnata. We have a behavioral health access program that we work through, but what we're trying to do is build resiliency in all parts of their lives, right? So if a firefighter's marriage is struggling, if their finances are struggling, if they're having trouble with faith, the whole host of all the things that everybody else in the world deals with, if there's a problem there, that problem manifests its way into their job. And that can't happen. Because their lives literally, or the lives of the people they're working with, or the citizens' lives are in jeopardy. So if you're responding to a fire, a vehicle accident, taking care of a critical person, and your mind's not there because you and your wife had an argument before you came to work, that's not good. And those are the things that if we build resilient people, then they're going to be more resilient in this job. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I didn't even know that was such the resiliency, how big of a deal it was. And it's I would say over 50%, one of the most important things, just because they need to have their eyes on the prize and keep their heads moving forward.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the holidays. Let's protect our community with some very basic tips on the Christmas tree that they're about to dump and or what they should be or not be doing with the stoves. And you just tell us.
Sure. Well, from a fire perspective, and we're a fire rescue department, so we don't just do fire, we do EMS.
Yes.
You call 911, we're there. But from a fire perspective right now, if you have real Christmas trees, keep them watered. Make sure you're adding watering to them, and then don't keep them after Christmas.
What about the Christmas trees that have the white covering over it when they say you don't have to water those? Do you still have to water those? They're like frosted.
If they're a real tree, I'm not sure about that, but if they're a real tree, I recommend watering them. Making sure they're not getting too dry. There's some really good videos that you can search on YouTube. We might have something on our website of Christmas tree fires.
Okay.
And it's just astonishing how fast a fire will overtake a room and a house, and especially in the middle of the night if people are sleeping. So number one, keep your trees watered. But even before that, smoke detectors. And that is year round. 100% of the fire fatalities that have happened in Marion County, I will say over the last 10 years, did not have functioning smoke detectors, either completely absent or were not functioning.
Should there be one in every room?
So there should be one in every room. There should be one outside in hallway areas and common areas. And all that information is very prevalent on the internet on where to put them. We supply them. So if you can't afford smoke detectors, we supply them. We'll come out and we'll install them for you. We have some very great programs for that. You just have to do it.
Your guys are going to come out and put them in our homes if we need them for free?
They will.
Absolutely. Wow. Do you guys hear that? Let's make sure we got one of those in every one of our rooms. And make sure you bake them some cookies and goodies for when they leave.
They would like that.
Okay, so we're talking about paramedics, EMTs, and that kind of stuff. So what kind of safety hazards on the road as well? Because I know paramedics, EMTs, they come into the home, they take care of everything there, but I know a lot of them are also, they have a big job on the road.
Sure. So some of the top risks to firefighters and first responders are vehicle accidents. So a lot of the training that we do revolves around operating vehicles, how you operate on the road, how you operate around vehicle accidents. But really for the citizens, being aware of your surroundings. Our cars now are built so that you can listen to the radio, you can listen to things, and it excludes all outside noise, which includes sirens. So be aware of your surroundings, check intersections, look for our people as they're trying to navigate through our community. It becomes very challenging. And then when they're operating, slow down, move over, It's the law. So if you don't slow down and you don't move over for them and a police officer or law enforcement officer sees you, they will pull you over and you'll be ticketed for that. So it is the law, not just for fire, but for EMS, for police, for tow trucks. So be careful around the people that are working on the roadways for sure.
Definitely. I hear there's a lot of accidents with that alone.
There are, yeah.
So any other tips you can think of that I did not ask?
So if you're frying a turkey, so that was big for Thanksgiving. A lot of times it's big for Christmas also. Be careful, make sure it's completely thawed, make sure you don't have too much oil. When you go to drop the turkey into the fryer, make sure your fryer is turned off. You bring it up to temperature, but then turn the flame out while you're dropping it in there.
Oh.
And when it's fully submerged, turn your flame back on. Definitely do that. And then, if you have a fire in your house, don't panic. It's very difficult not to do that. If it's on the stove or if it's in the oven, leave the oven closed. If it's on the stove and it's a pot, throw a lid over it. If you have a fire extinguisher, use a fire extinguisher. Just those types of common sense things.
You say it's common sense, but if I saw a fire in my stove, I would get a bucket of water and I would try to get the flame out. So literally, don't open it.
Yeah. Don't open it. Yeah, leave it closed. And,
now I'm feeling a little dumb here.
Yeah. It'll go out. Feel free to call us. We'll come out and make sure everything's okay.
Okay. And a fire on the stove, don't put water on it either?
Yeah, so if it's a grease fire, you do not want to put water on it.
Okay.
You want to smother it. You want to, if it's a pot, put a lid on it. It'll go out.
Okay.
If you have to use a fire extinguisher, do not use water.
Got it. Roger that. I hope everybody's listening up. A couple things I knew, a couple things I didn't. And I have been known to burn water, just so you know. Well, that's fun. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about hiring. Are you guys hiring at the fire department here?
So we're always hiring. The state of Florida in general and Marion County has seen so much growth that the demand for qualified applicants exceeds the ability for the communities to supply qualified applicants. We're always hiring in Marion County. We've had to kind of step out of the box and look at ways that we can bring new employees into Marion County Fire Rescue to meet that demand. Because if we just look at the typical process of having an application process throughout the state of Florida and relying on people to come and work here, we're not going to meet the demand. So we have some great programs in place. We have an Ocala Marion mentorship program that people can get involved with. We've had a high school program in the past. We are reinstituting that hopefully within the next year. And then we have a non-certified program. So if you want to be a first responder, we have a program that you can get into and we'll hire you and we will pay you to go to school.
Wow.
We'll pay you to become a first responder. And we're really focusing on homegrown people here in Marion County.
Of course.
Because if you live here, you're raised here, you go to school here, most likely you're going to stay here. And it's been very successful to the point a few years ago, we were pushing about 100 vacancies. We were in a very tough spot, tons of mandatory overtime, tons of workload issues. And through these programs, and not just the programs, making sure that we have a very competitive pay and benefits for our employees, making sure those are competitive and good, and then a good culture and a good working environment. In these programs, we've been able to essentially, as of September, become fully staffed. When I say fully staffed minus the positions that were added in October. So we added 36 additional positions in October. And so we still have those vacancies, but we've come a long way.
Wow, that's great news. And we need more and more people to step up. Love this job, want this job, and the job's got to pay good, which is nice. The 1% sales tax help rebuild the fire stations. You have beautiful fire stations now. We're able to pay a little bit more. And so we want people who are going to stay here that can protect our retirees for every call that comes in to every individual in our county and city. So that's very important.
And we're very thankful for the that you brought that up, the penny sales tax, that our citizens trusting in us to vote that back in, and for 20 years.
20 years.
And that is super important because we have a 20-year plan, but we didn't have a 20-year plan to fund that plan. So we know what the needs are. We know what it costs over the next 20 years. But now we know that we're going to have a revenue source to help support that.
Yeah, we need that. We're a growing community.
Yes.
And there was a lot of push by so many members of our community to make sure we got that. And if I recall, I don't think you could ever get that done anywhere else. So nobody really thought it was going to get done, but it got done.
It did.
A lot of hard work.
Yeah.
So let's talk about life after the drop program. I say life after the 401k. You're in the drop program, that means you're going to retire here eventually. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. And what does that look like for you? Paint a picture for us.
My problem right now is I don't know. You know, I mean, this is all I've done. I'm blessed to do a job that I love. You know, I don't have a reason or a need to leave at the moment. I'm in the drop. For those of you who don't know, that deferred retirement option program allows me to essentially be retired and then stay and work for another 8 years, almost 2 years into that process. So in 6 years, I have to leave, but I'm not really sure. I'm not one to just sit still and not do anything.
Okay.
But I want to find something. I don't know what that looks like yet. But what I don't want to do is get into a position where so many retirees get into where their career defined them and defined who they are. And this has been a great career, but it hasn't defined me. So I want to find something else after that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're probably going to be, I have a feeling you're going to be a mentor. You're going to do some of that.
Maybe.
And well, your first dream was to do scuba diving.
Yeah. So I started scuba diving early. I became a certified scuba diver when I was 13. And I wanted to transition that into somehow a career. And so I started looking at commercial diving. Actually, when I initially graduated high school, I went out to Texas and visited a school out there. And my plan was to go become a commercial diver and work on oil rigs and do those types of things. But in the meantime, while I was waiting to start school, a friend of mine introduced me to the fire service, and it just opened my eyes, and I didn't look back.
Yeah, well, you're in a good position. So does that mean life after, when you walk out those double doors, you turn in your keys to retirement, there's a possible new scuba shop in town?
I don't know.
Or instructing?
Yeah, I don't know if I want the stress of running a business either. No. I don't know about that.
You know what? You're a smart man. So something smooth sailing and really easy. I love it. Well, you can always coach people.
Yeah.
There's always lots. I'm from the Keys, so I was certified NAUI when I was 13. Advanced scuba PADI when I was like 18. And then I've done a couple of shipwrecks down there and lots of night dives and stuff like that. But I don't have time for it anymore.
Right.
But it is a fun thing to do. You call us our bubbleheads, but you can't even call me a bubblehead anymore. So I want to ask one last question before we exit here. What is the ride along that I hear about? Do you guys still do that?
We'll allow citizens and people to ride along, sure.
Like in a fire truck?
Sure, they can ride along and see what it's about. We do offer that.
That's pretty neat. You get to learn, like, even if there's a big fire, you're like, get in, let's go, we're going, or do you like, no, you got to stay here?
They have to stay with somebody, and they're not allowed to do anything.
But they can get in the fire truck.
Yeah, they can ride along in the fire truck and see what the day in the life of a firefighter.
Oh, I think that's incredible. Yeah. What a great thing to take young kids on that are, about to graduate from high school, and maybe they're sophomores or juniors, and kind of showing them some of the ropes. What a great idea. Yeah. So, well, you're an inspiration, Chief Banta. I'm going to tell you that.
Thank you.
All good things I hear all the time, and you've done great things, and you've really grown from your beginning here in Ocala, and we are thankful for your leadership and your passion and the fact that you're still coaching up these guys and gals with integrity and values.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
welcome. It. And next year, we're counting on you to come back.
All right. I'll look for the invite.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, Happy New Year's.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast. If you have questions or would like to begin the process of building a tailored retirement plan, call Zinnia Wealth at 833-368-3680 or find us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Charisse Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and or categories usually do not deduct transaction and or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.